everyone, and welcome to the Human Design Podcast with me, your host, Emma Dunwoody. I'm a qualified master coach and human behaviour specialist, as well as being a qualified human design coach. And I work with clients every single day to answer the big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And what is my purpose? I also assist them to transition from the person they think they should be to the person they really are on the inside. I teach people how to actually live their design instead of just knowing it. And if this is something that you want to do too, well, stay tuned or reach out for private coaching or Human Design Unpacks, where I show you exactly how to live your design. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. Well, on this episode, I have got so many cool things that I want to share with you. The topic that I'm going to cover actually comes from our live hot seat session this month from HDX, where one of my clients or one of our HDX members asked about depression and human design and her human design chart. So we're going to dive into depression, anxiety, and human design from both my behavioural experience and training and through the frame of human design and how they come together. And I think it's going to be really powerful for everyone out there. However, before we get to that, I want to say a massive thank you to all the people that keep reaching out in regards to Bailey. I'm so grateful. Thank you. We actually had a little miracle happen where the amazing Charity Mainville, who is a member of our HDX community, and she has actually unpacked Bailey's chart in the past. She's also taught a class in HDX about the mammalian chart. She reached out and gave us some incredible insights that actually led from Bailey being, on his last legs, literally, to the dog that he is at the moment, which is his lumps have gone down significantly, like we can hardly feel them, like from the size of a tennis ball. And he is just looking amazing. So his prognosis is now super positive. We also had a sound healing session because of what Charity shared with us. So, the sound healing session was amazing with the brilliant Ange Barber. But I'm going to get both of them on the podcast at different times to talk you through it all, because it was just amazing. And I will keep you up to date with Bailey's journey. So thanks again for everyone reaching out. I really appreciate all of you that continue to do it. The next thing I want to share with you is I am so freaking excited because I have my masterclass happening this Sunday, which is all about finding your purpose with human design. This is going to be obviously a live event. It's 3 hours. We're going to not only do some learning, we're going to do some integration, and I'm going to have some live hot seat opportunities for some people as well. So please, if you are new to human design or you're constantly searching for your purpose, please jump on this masterclass. It's going to be a game changer. You get to keep it forever, so it doesn't matter what time zone you're in. And it's just going to be fantastic. I'm really, really looking forward to it. You can follow the links in the show notes to jump on there. The other exciting thing that is just around the corner, and I got to tell you, I'm about to pop, is we are just about to launch the Mastermind. And the Mastermind is our absolute game-changing program. Like, you get to spend 30 hours with me with small group coaching, and the results that we have got from these programs, from the Masterminds, have been huge. Some of the people who've been through it before, of course, is Jenny Crowther, the amazing Bronwyn Snell. And a lot of these incredible humans have transitioned from a corporate life or a teaching life or a life that was really out of alignment for them into a life that feels amazing, a new career, healing relationships, and getting paid to be themselves, be who you are. That was always on my vision board. Do you have that on your vision board? I always wanted to be paid to be me. And man, I get paid to be me every day now. And this is really one of the big things with all of my teaching, is I want everyone to feel that way. So stay tuned for that, because that's coming up too. All right, let's get into today's episode about depression, anxiety, and human design. Now, as a behavioural coach, one of the things I want to sort of kick off and say is that wherever you are in your mental health journey is exactly where you need to be. There is no shame at any point in asking for help, support, medication, whatever you need. Absolutely not. One of the biggest challenges with mental health is that it's not cool to ask for help, or people think they can't ask for help, or people have preconceived ideas about, how their mental health should be dealt with. And there's really this fine balance that we have to find when we are challenged with depression and anxiety. Because in my case, I was given a diagnosis that I couldn't live with. And in that moment, there was just a knowing inside of me that I could heal myself. So there was this level of commitment that I could go to. But at the same point, I did try the meds at first. They didn't work for me at all, so I took myself off them really quickly, but that's only my story. So I want everyone who's listening today to know that this is about your story. It's not about my story. It's not about anyone else's story. It's about starting to build the muscle of you loving yourself and giving yourself the opportunity to build a healthy mind, a healthy mindset. Now, let's start at the beginning. So depression is regret from the past, or a past-focused mind. Anxiety is fear of the future. So that's a future-focused mind. One of the fundamental things I want to say is that your human design does not dictate whether you will have depression or not at any point. Depression and anxiety can be a learnt behavior. It's definitely something in my not only experience, but in my personal journey. So it was a learnt behavior, depression from dad, anxiety from mum. And I didn't even know I was learning it. This is the crazy thing. I did not even know I was learning it. I didn't even know that they experienced those things until I was a lot older, because they had ways of hiding it. And, not on purpose, but we didn't show emotion in our family, and my dad was already an introvert. So it didn't seem odd that he kind of kept to himself. And, mum's always been a bit of a control freak, but it was only as she got older and started to let her guard down that we could see in many cases she was actually having panic attacks and that sort of thing. So yes, it was something that came down my lineage. So it was a pattern that came in from them. However, I know, as I sit and talk to you today, it was not at any point valuable to my journey to be able to, or to be blaming my mental health issues on either of my parents. Okay, so let's talk about depression, anxiety, and human design. Now, I want to start off by saying, when we are experiencing depression or anxiety, what we're actually experiencing is an addictive thought pattern, okay? And one that is coming from a place of the ego is trying to keep you safe. However, in this process, what is happening is that the mind is so jammed full of thinking, it can't change, okay? And one thing that I know in my experience, I tried to just think new thoughts. I tried to rewire straight from a place of, an unresourceful mindset that had got me to a place of depression and panic disorder, instead of actually starting to build the gaps first. And what I mean by that is our first port of call whenever we have any mental health challenges, and I think everyone should be doing this, is meditation. The reason why we want to meditate is because the magic happens in the gaps. When we are constantly thinking over and over and over about everything in the past and the future, whatever it might be, there are no gaps. There's nowhere for the soul or the universe or intuition to get in. And then when we try to change from this place, it's really hard because we're just trying to rewire, and we're trying to force the change. We're trying to force the new way of thinking, the new focal point. And we all know that nothing good comes from force. It comes from power. So if this is you in this place and you're wondering, okay, well, what do I do about my mental health that is not great right now? The first place, in my opinion, to start is always with meditation and gratitude, okay? Now, if you are struggling with your mental health right now, there is absolutely no shame in asking for help, whatever that help may be. It could be from a coach, it could be from a psychologist, it could be from a doctor. You might be prescribed meds and all your friends think you shouldn't be on meds, and you might don't want to be on meds, but everyone tells you you should be on meds, or whatever. The journey is yours, and you need to do what's best for you at the time. Okay, so first and foremost, do not judge yourself. Do not judge your journey or compare it to anybody else's, because it is 100% yours to be had. Okay, so even before meditation and gratitude comes responsibility. All right, to heal our mental health, to heal anything, to change anything, to succeed at anything, to achieve at anything, to, create our heaven on earth, the one thing we must start with is always responsibility. Responsibility is also power, okay? When we take full responsibility, it means we're taking our power back. Now, for me, obviously, you've heard the story a million times. That was when I got a diagnosis that I couldn't live with. And in that moment, there was just a very subtle, deep knowing that I could heal myself. I just knew I could do it. And yes, my path was really long because I didn't have any mentors or any role models. So I had to learn all the stuff and, as a line 3, experiment with it and fail a lot. And then it got me to this place where I now look back and go, far out. That was one of the most powerful times of my life. I still, although I don't feel the pain, I still remember how painful it was. I still remember how awful. And, unless you've been there, you don't know. So if you have someone in your world that is challenged by depression or panic disorder or panic attacks or anxiety, please don't tell them you know what it's like, because you really don't. Unless you live it, you really don't know what it's like. And it's not something that someone can just switch off overnight. It just doesn't work that way. We have to reprogram our brains. We have to start listening to our intuition. We have to, if we are lucky enough to come across human design, we have to actually begin our experiment, listen to our strategy and our authority. And then as we rewire the brain, align closer to the body wisdom and stop trusting the mind so much, then healing can happen at, pick your own pace, a lot faster than it did for me. However, I just want everyone out there to hear that everyone's journey is different. So the more expectations you put on yourself, the more opportunity you have to let yourself down. In the same breath, what I highly recommend is that you turn up for yourself every single day, and through the frame of meditation, through the frame of gratitude, exercise, good food, great sleep, all of those things. Apparently, I've done a little bit of breath work, but that wasn't what healed me in my journey. I love breath work. What I've tried is great. But for me, it was really meditation, and it wasn't noisy meditation. It wasn't a lot of guided meditation. It was just simple meditation that was teaching me to sit still and just be still. And the quieter my mind got and the bigger the gaps got. And it's honestly, to this day, 20 years later, since I started meditating, I go back to the basics, I would say, every couple of years, just to remind myself of the stillness and to just get back to that place where, it's just about the gaps. The magic comes in the gaps, instead of having this mind that wants to drive all the time. Because that's ultimately what depression and anxiety is that the ego is driving all the time to try and keep you safe and hypervigilant and all of those things, okay? So that's the first thing I want to say. Because as you guys know, one thing I don't want is you to jump out of one dogma and into another and then apply all your human design and blame your human design and hate yourself because you've got a certain gait that, might lead you to depression. Like all of that, that's not serving or supporting you in any way. What is going to serve and support you is building your own self-worth, and gratitude and meditation is a really, really amazing place to start. Now, human design is obviously my favorite, and I am going to use the word tool because I feel like human design is a tool and it needs to be treated that way. It's not who you are, it is your energetic blueprint, and then you get to bring it to life. You get to express it your way, okay? And I think that's an important distinction for you to understand, because oftentimes we look at our design, especially in the beginning, and especially from a place if our mental health isn't great, we look at it often in a way of resistance and rejection and even judgment. So when you first learn your human design, what I want you to do is I want you to be open-minded. Drop any expectations that this is going to be the thing that heals you, because, oh my God, do you know how many things that are going to heal me that I did for years before I actually realized that it wasn't one thing that healed me. It was me following the bouncing ball. It was me following my intuition. It was me following my journey, my purpose, my strategy, my authority, all of these things that I didn't realize at the time that actually got me to this place. So you have to trust the journey, trust that you are well, that you can heal, that all of those things are inevitable for you. This is really, really paramount. Then there's a couple of other things as we start to get into the design that I think is very important. Number one, what is the difference between being out of your comfort zone and out of alignment? This is a question that I highly encourage people to experiment with early on as they come to human design, because many times and many teachers will tell you, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. That's not true. That is so not freaking true. Like, if I did what felt good, I don't think I'd ever get out of bed. My undefined root center would have me just snuggled in bed, especially in winter, and I would just move from the bed to the ocean and back to the bed again. Like, seriously, that is not good advice. But what is good advice is running the experiment, is what is out of my comfort zone feeling like and what is out of alignment feeling like, all right? Because these are the things that are going to change the world, your world. So for me, when on my mental health journey, like, one of the things that was really scary and felt really uncomfortable, and if I was living by that ethos of if it doesn't feel good, don't do it, I would never have started meditating, because I freaking couldn't stand it. It just scared the shit out of me, to be honest. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't quiet my mind. I felt like a total failure. I couldn't do it. I had my shadow is very visual when my eyes are closed, and very scary. I think I mentioned on another podcast, my coach asked me about this terrifying face that she saw. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my shadow. That's the thing that comes and scares me. That's the thing that tried to prevent me from meditating. But I knew at the time that I was out of my comfort zone. All right? Not out of alignment. So out of alignment, oftentimes you can feel out of alignment. I know one thing that happens for me a lot is if I eat shitty food. Sometimes I could go to the bakery and have the most amazing, there's this amazing pie at our bakery called Sundays, and the pie is like chicken and tarragon or something like that. It's amazing. It feels so good. And if I'm in alignment, I will love it and it will feel great. However, if I'm comfort eating, I will literally get 2 bites into that and I'll be like, oh, yeah, that's so out of alignment. This is not right for me right now. So starting again with those things that, of course it's food. I mean, my world revolved around food as an MG, but this is the sort of place where you want to start building the muscle. What is out of my comfort zone and what is out of alignment? Oftentimes the way we can know this is that just give it a shot and don't be afraid to get it wrong, because you'll know for next time. Or you can sit quietly or write yourself a letter. I used to write a lot of letters when my mind was super busy, in my journal to your future self, and say like, okay, how does it feel when I have done this? So you might be, let's say, deciding whether to, I don't know, God, I can't think of anything. Sign up to my masterclass. I mean, that's the first thing that came to my head. What you want to do is you want to put yourself in a position where you can either sit quietly and put yourself after the event, and how does that feel? Does it feel like, oh my God, that was really good. I'm so glad I did that. I invested my time and energy and the $88. I feel great for it. Or does it feel like, oh, that was a waste of my time? And before you think, well, how do I know if I haven't done it? This is where we start to build that feeling in our body, that trusting the feeling, trusting our authority, because we're getting feedback all the time. And oftentimes I can just put myself, the other side of something. Like we as I record this, we are actually on holiday this week, but I was like, I just really want to record this. That, my sacral was so lit up about it. And we're doing a staycation because where we live in the world is like one of the most incredible holiday destinations. And I was like, well, I want to actually go and do all the touristy things. So we went to this amazing walk that Justin found, where you walk up an old train line, like total Stand By Me moment for all of you who know the movie Stand By Me or the book Stand By Me by Stephen King. Oh my God, we're walking along this train track. They've actually just removed the tracks, so it's just the rocks, but we're still walking along here. And we get to this tunnel, right? And that's the point. We were going to see the glowworms that are in the tunnel. So we walk into the tunnel and my entire body freezes, like to the point where I grab Justin's arm and it's just like I'm a rock. And for those of you who have seen a picture of Justin and I, like he's twice my size. And I'm like, no, my body says no, I'm not going any further. So it's building those muscles of going, okay, I actually know that that's not me being stopped by my comfort zone. There's something inside of me saying, don't go any further in there. So it's building that muscle of starting to know, okay, what's out of my comfort zone and what's out of alignment. Because one of the crazy things with mental health and comfort zone is that the more you get out of your comfort zone, the better your mental health's going to be. So it's kind of this catch-22. I know when I was there in, that really dark place, and I don't mean the tunnel, I mean my mental health, I had this whole feeling like I just wanted to stay still. I just wanted to do the same things every day and see the same people and stay small and hidden, because then maybe I could just not feel crappy all the time. But it was actually everything that I chose to do that got me out of my comfort zone. And this shows, like, this is actual, there's now so much research on the brain that the comfort zone is giving you all these chemicals to help you feel better. And build the receptors to maintain that well-being, to maintain that happier state. So we really do need to know how to get out of our comfort zone, what's out of our comfort zone and what's out of alignment. Because when we can actually know those two truths, and we're not going to get them 100% right 100% of the time, remember? So there's no such thing as perfection. So we're imperfectly implementing. We're just doing it. If we make a mistake, great. We learn something. Because when we know how to get out of our comfort zone and trust that journey, this is a way that you can heal really, really fast. Okay. So on that note, the next place we want to look in the design chart or the human design chart is we want to look at, where am I going to go first? The profiles. Okay. So if you've got a transpersonal profile, so that means you've got the big number before the little number, then you're a person that's going to, it's going to be more likely that if you are challenged by your mental health journey, that if you can go and help someone else heal their mental health, that through that process, yours will be healed as well. If you have a personal profile, which is, it's like me, I'm a 3-5, small number first, then you have to focus on your journey. Okay. And you're the one that's got to heal you. Now, this leads me into a really, really important point. And I've said it on the podcast before. I'm going to say it again. One of my mentors, when I was doing my master coach course, she would always say, anyone with 2 weeks and time on their hands to think about nothing but themselves will create depression. Okay. So this is one thing that you need to understand, especially as a personal profile. Are you fixated on yourself? Are you literally just living between your ears in a thinking state? Because this is also what actually creates things like depression and anxiety. You're not in the present moment. Meditation, remember? You're out of the present moment. You are living in the future or in the past. And when you focus on yourself through this frame, that in itself creates depression. So one of the big things we have to do is get back into our body. Okay, get back into the physical body, move the physical body, depending on your design. If you're a generator or a manifesting generator, then get out and sweat, move your physical body. If you have a defined root center, get out, move your physical body. If you don't have a defined root center or sacral, then you just got to be really conscious, like how much or what sort of movement you need to do. But you need to do something. You just have to be conscious that you're not going the other way and getting addicted to, I don't know, some sort of exercise in a way to try and control something, because your mind feels out of control. So you have to be aware of that as well. So from a human design point of view, the next place I want to talk about, because it's in connection to focusing too much on yourself, is the integration circuitry. Okay, the individual circuitry. When you have a lot of individual circuitry, this is a circuitry that carries melancholy and moodiness in it. If you have the 39, 55, and especially the 55 and even the 22, like these can be really prone to depression because it's a deep melancholy. The gate 1 as well, like the creation is sparked from this sort of dark, and it's, the shadow is like entropy, like no energy, this energy of having this place of having no energy for anything. And from that place, creativity sparks, and of course the pendulum swings back to a higher frequency and a higher mood. But if you have any individual circuitry, then this is a lot of the places that you're going to find things like the 24 is addictive thinking patterns that happens in the shadow. In the there's depression in the shadow of the 60. What else? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There are other things the other gates to sort of be conscious of might be the 47. So the 47 is this energy that brings like karma and intergenerational patterns, all right? So intergenerational patterns will have a big impact on mental health. For me personally, my mum's family did anxiety, my dad did depression. But I didn't know that at the time, and it's really important. You'll get all your answers of how and where and what as you go through your healing journey, but try not to obsess on those things, because again, it's going to keep you between your ears and not in your body. Okay, so if you have the 47, there can be a tendency to bring all of that patterning from your lineage down that line, and oftentimes people with the 47 are people who will maybe be challenged with the mental health of those that came before them, but that doesn't mean that you're a victim to it. It just means that it's your opportunity to stop that pattern with you, which I think is really important. Individual circuitry, and the integration circuitry is part of the individual circuit, but the individual circuit particularly, which is basically the channels in the middle, okay? So it's the middle channel all the way down, the center channels and the middle channel that goes around the sides. So if you're looking at your chart, that's a good place. Some anxiety places like the 18 can tend to be anxiety. The 18 is challenging because there's a tendency of self-judgment in there if you turn the superpower of the 18 inward. So judgment can come from there, and that could actually that's anything, future or past based. The 57, the shadow of the 57, the fear is the fear of the future. So it is all about staying in anxiety, and these thinking patterns that make no space for the intuition to come in and give you the feedback. I know from personal experience that both the 36 and the 28 can also be a little bit challenging in their shadow state. In the 28, it is the human struggle. So everything's like, why does it have to be so hard, And the 36 as well, like this is an emotional experience that arises from some sort of inverted commas crisis. That one doesn't so much carry depression with it, but it is like, that's challenging, especially if you have other things in your chart that can be a little bit more challenging if you're not coming from a resourceful headspace, like the line 3. I've got a line 3, the line 3 with the 36 and the 28, it definitely contributed to me making up poor me patterns, victim stories and mentalities and that sort of thing. Knowing that every single gate has a shadow. So there's potential in every single gate for us to express it in its low frequency. Then the next place that I think it's important to touch on is the line 1 in the profile. Because these people are they're so aware of themselves and their impact on the other, and they tend to be quite inward focused, okay? So when something goes wrong, they will go inward. They will beat themselves up, question themselves, try and fix it themselves, whatever it is. And that journey inward is that, as I said earlier, like that is a journey to things like depression and anxiety, because you're actually just running things over and over in your head instead of physically moving forward energetically, physically or energetically, right? So be really conscious if you have that line 1. The line 3, of course, in our lower expression wants to, there is that martyr energy to it. There is that poor me energy to it, that victim mentality, like, why does this always happen to me? That can not support, that, or in a shadow state can be unresourceful to mental health. But look, at the end of the day, I feel like when it comes to depression and anxiety, there are places all over the chart. The 64 and the 63. The 64 has also got a correlation to dyslexia. The 64 is the gate of confusion. Then the 63 is the gate of doubt. This is like, if it's turned inward, it's like constant self-doubting. The 48, like there's this real depth of potential depression that sits in there, of like the deepest, like, I am not enough, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough, I'm not enough, I don't know enough. So really, the long story short is there are so many potentials within the human design chart for people to express unresourceful mental health. At the end of the day, every single time we learn these things, we hear these things, we are changing our consciousness, we're changing our awareness. And ultimately, when we take responsibility for just listening to our strategy and authority, doing the simple things to start, giving ourselves permission just to be who we are, letting go of resistance of our design or the particular nuances in our design that we don't like, then we're already healing ourselves. The other thing that's just come to mind as well, like if you have an undefined head and ajna, you also have a lot of potential to be conditioned by other people's thinking. So if you spend a lot of time with people that have, lower frequency thinking or, unresourceful thinking, then this is also a place that you can be highly conditioned. So as a kid, maybe you could have been conditioned by your parents or something like that. But ultimately, when it comes to mental health, like everything else, we do have a choice. And that choice is to take responsibility. The moment we take responsibility, we take our power back. That means that the stories we tell ourselves, we are going to do better. We're going to change them. We're going to focus on something different. The reticular activating system will always focus on what we don't want unless we consciously choose to focus on what we do want. And it's a habit that we build. As we heal our mental health journey, we need to let go of expectations. Do not be attached to where you should be at a certain time or what should work, or be shooting all over yourself at all, because these things will only make the journey to mental well-being longer. So I encourage you to play. I encourage you to focus on the gap, be still, and of course, really do the experiment with your strategy and authority. Because what happens is, and this is what I found in my experience as well, is that over time, what happens is one day you'll just go and look at something in your chart. You'll just be drawn to look at something. And sure enough, there'll be a massive wound that was attached to a massive story or something like that. And you'll either read the gate or you'll read the gene key. And in that moment, you'll be like, oh my God, that's me. And in that moment, you will be able to let go of things that just don't serve you anymore, the shadow expression, because you can start to see the potential. You can consciously become aware of your fear. You're now taking mastery or taking ownership of your comfort zone. You know how to get out of it. Sometimes you're out of alignment, and sometimes when you're out of alignment, you're just out of your comfort zone, and you don't always get it right. But you know that you can handle whatever comes your way. You know that you can reprogram that mind. You know the more you trust your strategy and authority and your design, the more peace you're going to experience, the more joy you're going to experience, the more prosperity, success, fulfillment, love that you're going to experience. But it's a process, and it's going to take as long as it's going to take. So be kind to you, and turn up for yourself every single day. Keep the promises that you make. Do the work, meditate, learn your design, do your gratitude, journal every day, be kind to yourself, eat well, exercise, sleep well, and have fun and play. And you'll be blown away by what's on the other side. I do fundamentally believe that human design gives us a fast track to healing, because we can heal the way we're designed to heal. I absolutely believe that. And that is my experience with myself and with my clients. And I don't believe that people need to do the long road like I did when they come to human design, but they have to just surrender to the experiment. And as you surrender to the experiment, magic happens. Things transform really fast. And then you get to a place where I'm at is I feel like I live my heaven on earth every day, and it continues to expand. And the less I have to do every day, the more joy I experience every day. And it's almost like there is such a, how do I articulate it? I used to be so clear of what I wanted and where I was going and, hitting my goals. And I got really good at smashing my goals and doing all of those things. But now I'm back in that childlike state. I'm curious. I know who I want to become. I've done my rocking chair, for those of you who know what that is, in my community. But now my Open G Center and I, we're going to just see where the river takes us. We know it's inevitable that I'm becoming this human being, because I have so much evidence of it. It's happening right now. And I quite like not knowing exactly what steps I'm going to take to get there. And for me, that's ultimate surrender. That's ultimate faith. That's trust in myself. That's trust in the universe. And ultimately, that's what I believe is going to change our planet, when we can all feel that way and we can trust ourselves, take our power back from authorities that don't have our best interest at heart, make choices that are correct for us, and then support others to do the same. Doesn't that sound fun? Oh my God, that sounds so fun. All right, well, I trust today's episode has supported you and will continue to support you. And I've loved having you here, and I so look forward to having you on the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks everyone for being here all the way to the end of the podcast. I hope you got lots of value out of it. I certainly had a lot of fun doing it. Could I please ask that you share this podcast with friends if you found it valuable? And also, bonus points, could you leave a review for me as well on Apple? It would be greatly appreciated. If at any point you would like to be on the podcast, or you've got questions that you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, by all means get on my socials and DM me. Everything you need is there in the show notes. Have an awesome day. Bye for now.